Now, yesterday we dropped a video and we covered a direct quote from a former employee who said specifically that big news is coming for Ripple and XRP. And he also made some other tweet about how all the haters can basically screw off because it's happening. That was interesting. And a lot of people commented saying, oh, that's just a former employee. He got compensated in XRP. He's just trying to pump his bags. And maybe that's true. So I figured for today's video, we would cover a direct quote from a current employee, a VP of Strategic Initiatives, Emi Yoshikawa, talking about how the AMM will make the XRPL have the most powerful DEX. Now, real quick, we're talking about a decentralized exchange. Instead of having to go to one of these centralized exchanges like Coinbase, others, right, to swap your assets, you can utilize the DEX that's built into the XRP ledger to swap your assets around. And so we've been talking about how the DEX is what many people in the XRP community don't even know about. And it's literally could be the best feature of the XRP ledger. And it's only going to get better and more efficient. And liquidity is going to significantly improve. That's another direct quote after we get this AMM. Now, yesterday I dropped a video breaking down why the AMM vote was delayed. They pulled back some votes. Now it's been delayed. It was set to go live on Valentine's Day. And I'd already told wifey, no date night Valentine's Day. I'm going to be gambling in the AMM. Well, now they've pushed it back. So I guess I have to take wifey out for Valentine's Day. That'll be good. That's one plus. But it's going to have to be, maybe we're going to go to McDonald's and get Happy Meals so I can save some extra budget to go gamble on the AMMs. We'll see. All jokes aside, though, let's get right on into this update, though, because this is important, folks. Yesterday, I dropped the full breakdowns on AMMs. You guys can go check that out. Today, we're going to talk right here specifically about the DEX and what I think is coming from these documents. Me and my good friend Jimmy Valley, we're going to share here what could be getting dropped in these ODL contracts now that the SEC, their wishes have been granted, right? They get the financial statements, they get the ODL contracts, and they also get the proceeds as well. So they get to look inside Ripple's business. And I first speculated, right, that this was going to open it up and maybe Ripple was going to be able to say, hey, you want to take a look at our business? Have at it. Feel free to report how good ODL is working. Feel free to report how many clients we have, right? Obviously, we expect names and numbers to be blacked out, redacted, and maybe portions of it sealed up, right? But what we are going to get is going to be very interesting. Let's get right on into it, though, folks. Very big deal here. Let's get started out. Now, it was so interesting because Ripple drops these things every once in a while, and they just so happen to coincide with major news events that's taking place in the crypto space. Like when the bank runs were taking place, they dropped stuff on custody. When FTX collapsed, they were dropping stuff on that. And now we see that they dropped this one on February 2nd, new frameworks for regulating DeFi, which I just find to be so interesting considering that the SEC just yesterday changed the rules on broker-dealers, including AMM liquidity providers. And I asked the question, put my tinfoil hat on, call me crazy all you want. Is it just a coincidence that the XRP ledger, DEX is finally about to get an AMM, and now the SEC is changing their rules to include AMMs and basically make anybody who provides liquidity to an AMM a broker-dealer? It's just crazy. I mean, we've had AMMs on Uniswap since 2018. Many others as well. So why now? And probably just a crazy coincidence, right? Now, I thought that this was a good graphic too for understanding the value of an asset. It's important to clarify which approach or calculation you are referring to. There are quite a few methods to determine value. Here's a cheat sheet of 6 common methodologies. And this is something so many folks confused with this, shared by our good friend Molly Elmore right here. The value cheat sheet, what you need to know. How much is an asset worth? The financial services industry determines value multiple ways. How are those methods different? Which asset types are relevant for each? So right here you have market value, which is the most common used valuation, right? You can pull the market cap off of most stocks and equities, right? Market value reflects the current worth of an investment in the ever fluctuating marketplace. Market value is the current price at which an asset or service can be bought or sold in an open and competitive market. But what we've been talking about, especially with the XRP community, right, has been fair market value. If the damages weren't done by the SEC, what would the fair market value of XRP? If we knew all of Ripple's true intentions, what would the fair market value be? the price that an asset would sell for on the open market, and this is the critical part, assuming that both buyer and seller are reasonably knowledgeable about the asset, are behaving in their own best interest, are free of undue pressure, and are given a reasonable time period for completing the transaction. Fair market value is different than market value and appraised value. Depending on the asset, real estate versus a business, a series of formulas and calculations are used to determine fair market value. You also have intrinsic value, the value of an asset based on its core components, right? What can you get out of it? You have notional value, often used in derivatives. It gives you the total value of assets in a leveraged position. It helps measure the size of a trade rather than the amount of capital used for it, i.e. when you use 100x leverage in crypto, right? We're not just talking about the $100 that you bet. We times that by the 100x leverage to give us the notional value. And this is where some say, right, the notional value of derivatives is, well into the quadrillions. We can't even track it. Net present value and then book value, right? But I thought that was a good little deal. Make sure you guys go check out Molly Elmore, and that's a good little graphic to save. Now, as I was talking about, Ripple gets to reveal as much as they want, and maybe they want to seal it all up. Maybe they're just going to redact the names and the numbers, and they're going to give us incredible insight into their on-demand liquidity business. That's what I'm hoping for, but I definitely respect their right to privacy and their business practices and model. But Jimmy Valley seems to be along the same lines of thinking that I am, and that Ripple might take advantage of this opportunity to perform somewhat of a grand reveal. And Jimmy Valley responding right here to the conversation, right? Ripple has filed for an extension of time to produce the documents the SEC has requested. And we see Jimmy responds, "We are about to learn the institutions that have been buying XRP from Ripple. That information, which has been previously confidential, will provide some information about who has been providing sell pressure in the market," which that could be interesting, right? "These contracts relationships are almost certainly covered by confidentiality restrictions that prohibit each side from disclosing their involvement in the purchase of XRP from Ripple. But the common exceptions to confidentiality restrictions include the following: information that was or becomes publicly available, information that is provided by a source not subject to the confidentiality restrictions, information that is independently developed by the disclosing party, and, most importantly right here, information that is required to be disclosed by court order," which is what we're up against right here. So this is it, folks. I am really excited, looking forward to this. They've extended this, and I'm sure that we'll get an answer from the judge here either today or tomorrow, granting Ripple the extension. I'm sure that they'll grant it. And so it's going to push it back to about February 20th, I believe. And by then, we'll get to see this, and then we'll see how much of it gets redacted, how much of it gets sealed up and hidden, or how much Ripple wants to reveal. This is going to be a real moment of truth, the true inflection point here for, Ripple's business model, ODL, and the XRP community's understanding of that. So we'll be watching closely for that. Now, let's get into it. So this is Emi Yoshikawa. She is currently at Ripple, high up on the totem pole, VP Strategic Initiatives, and she is commenting here on the AMM. Let's break this down, and we did translate it from Japanese. AMM has been around for several years, so what's the point now? Those who thought so do not understand the essence of the XRP ledger. Unlike the type of chain where anyone can create various things experimentally using a general purpose smartphone, computer, XRP ledger's philosophy is that the basic functions that everyone uses are determined by everyone as a standard specification, scrutinized and voted on as a protocol. The idea is to support them at their level. That's safer for both developers and users, and it also consolidates liquidity. But instead, supporting it with a protocol is a big deal. Everyone spends time scrutinizing the features and verifying that there are no bugs or unintended behavior, and we found a bug, right? Which is why the vote's been pushed back, why AMM is now pushed back. They found a little bug. It was a real random, unlikely use case, but nonetheless, some validators wanted to pull it. That's decentralization at work, for better, for worse. And in the end, the product is accepted by the community and put into practical use. Therefore, they cannot be compared to AMM projects created by third parties using general-purpose smartphone computers, and they are not competing for speed of market introduction. We are aiming for a feature that will be used by many people for a long time, so of course it will take time. In a sense, the failures and successes of projects in the area are also helpful in considering the optimal design. We are creating something that will last forever, something that is built to last. This is the program that the XRP ledger has been on for the last 10 years, operating nearly flawlessly. So robust, so strong. And yeah, sure, fix the bug. Let's roll out the AMM. And I'm sure that there's going to be more bugs that are found along the way. But the way that they go through the trials and the tribulations before they bring these amendments on is what I love about the XRP ledger validators. It may be more fun for a developer to be able to create things quickly during the experimental phase, but I strongly believe that this type of long-term approach is essential during the mass adoption phase. So basically, do you want some little developers playing with something, being able to make moves quickly? Or do you want the ledger to move slowly so that we can actually experience a massive adoption, right? And that is what I believe that we are entering, is the mass adoption phase for the XRP community. As we enter this next bull run, we're positioned with legal clarity. Now we're finally getting DeFi, and we're also finally waiting for Ripple to announce new products available for US partners. This is getting exciting. They're about to flip the switch in the USA. Now, let's get into it. So we have another tweet right here from Emmy. You guys check this one out right here. Straight from the mouth of a Ripple employee. Quote, XRP Ledger has been operating the world's first DEX since 2012. So critical, folks. Before anybody else, the world's first decentralized exchange. And it is an order book format, CLOB, which is Central Limit Order Book DEX, decentralized exchange. If automated market maker is added here by amendment in the future, it is expected that it will become the most powerful DEX of CLOB plus AMM and dramatically improve liquidity. You heard it right there, folks. The most powerful DEX and dramatically improve liquidity. Do you think that that might equal a higher price of XRP? I do. Does it mean that we're going to get rich off the AMM? Well, not from directly maybe investing in the AMMs and providing liquidity. I do expect us to be able to make some yield there, and there's going to be plenty of losses to be had over there as well, too. That's why I'm calling it gambling in the AMM, especially someone like myself that's not an experienced, trader in AMMs, right? I'm first to admit that, right? So that's why we're learning here together. That's why I'm, trying to break this thing down with the AMMs, the DEX and everything, trying to simplify this for the XRP community. And we just saw Blockchain Backer ran a poll asking his community, how many of you guys know how to use the DEX on the XRP ledger? And it was like 70% said no. So people don't even know that we have this. And it was literally the world's first DEX in 2012 built into the XRP ledger. It is one of our best benefits. And the AMM is only going to make it more efficient. And as she says, dramatically improve liquidity, making us have the most powerful DEX. This is starting to get really interesting. I know many people are already bailing out, calling it quits. But when I read stuff like this, I'm looking for something that questions my investment thesis. I'm looking for something that questions the narratives that we talk about. But we continually back up the narratives in this crazy stuff, that we've all been talking about. Now it's coming out. Now it's being unveiled. Now it's being said directly from Ripple themselves. What have I been saying lately, right? That Ripple is becoming the one-stop shop for liquidity, and the XRP ledger is going to be one of the best places in the world to source liquidity. She just confirmed that by saying that we're going to have the most powerful DEX. Now, are we going to be the best place for liquidity? Maybe not, but the most powerful DEX, you guys heard it yourself. And so take it for what it's worth. I'm not here to give you financial advice based off of that fact. It's just data points that we're adding to our fundamental thesis that only continues to grow stronger by day. So if you appreciate our updates, you guys know what to do. I'll see you in the next one. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.